My name is Manpreet Deol, and I'm studying engineering at the University of Calgary at the Schulich School of Engineering, and I'm in my first year. Being born and raised in Vancouver, I definitely wanted to move somewhere else, to get the full experience that really makes you mature and gain those responsibility skills and just leadership skills in general. Being a Schulich leader has introduced me to this fabulous network of amazing individuals that are, changing society for the better. There's so many opportunities in Calgary, and yeah, I'm excited for the rest of my years here.
My name is Janica Chavez, and I'm studying mechanical engineering at the Schulich School of Engineering. I'm definitely thankful to be a Schulich leader here at the University of Calgary. Having the scholarship really opened my mind to realize that even if you're young, there's so much more that you can do.
This just gives me so much freedom to explore my ideas, and I might not have had time to do that if I had to work a part-time job. My name is Bruce Gao, and I'm currently a first-year medical student at the Cummings School of Medicine. When I was in high school, I visited an orphanage in China. I realized that the solar panels on the roof were misaligned, and I tried to write a computer program to calculate the best angle for them. Me, along with my friend Matt Frithman, worked really hard to teach ourselves how to make a mobile app because we wanted to let people use their phones to align their solar panels.
One of my future goals definitely is to help other people in developing nations by bringing them technology. These can include water sanitation and energy.
I'm looking into fields that tie medicine and technology together and have the potential for innovation. I would love to run some sort of biotech company or some sort of entrepreneurial venture.
This scholarship isn't just a means to finish a degree, but it's a means to actually fulfill dreams that you originally had.
My name is Manpreet Deol, and I'm studying engineering at the University of Calgary at the Schulich School of Engineering, and I'm in my first year. Being born and raised in Vancouver, I definitely wanted to move somewhere else, to get the full experience that really makes you mature and gain those responsibility skills and just leadership skills in general. Being a Schulich leader has introduced me to this fabulous network of amazing individuals that are, changing society for the better. There's so many opportunities in Calgary, and yeah, I'm excited for the rest of my years here.
My name is Janica Chavez, and I'm studying mechanical engineering at the Schulich School of Engineering. I'm definitely thankful to be a Schulich leader here at the University of Calgary. Having the scholarship really opened my mind to realize that even if you're young, there's so much more that you can do.
This just gives me so much freedom to explore my ideas, and I might not have had time to do that if I had to work a part-time job. My name is Bruce Gao, and I'm currently a first-year medical student at the Cummings School of Medicine. When I was in high school, I visited an orphanage in China. I realized that the solar panels on the roof were misaligned, and I tried to write a computer program to calculate the best angle for them. Me, along with my friend Matt Frithman, we worked really hard to teach ourselves how to make a mobile app because we wanted to let people use their phones to align their solar panels.
One of my future goals definitely is to help other people in developing nations by bringing them technology. These can include water sanitation and energy.
I'm looking into fields that tie medicine and technology together and have the potential for innovation. I would love to run some sort of biotech company or some sort of entrepreneurial venture.
This scholarship isn't just a means to finish a degree, but it's a means to actually fulfill dreams that you originally had.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joel May, and I'm the Assistant Registrar for Student Financial Support here at the University of Calgary. I will be leading the presentation today, but before I start the presentation, just on the right side of your screen, there are a couple polls that we'd like you to respond to if possible. So the first one is really important to me, And I need to know, before I start the presentation, if you can see and hear the presentation. So if you can please respond in the poll, if you can see or hear me. I don't want it to be a lot of no's, because then it's not going to help at all. So if you could just please put that in a poll, or send me a chat message as well, if you can't hear or see me. I'll give you a quick minute to do that, because I want to ensure that everybody can see and hear everything before I go forward. Awesome. I'm getting a lot of responses that are positive, so that's a good thing. So without further ado, I'm going to start the presentation this morning. So for all you here at the webinar, I hope you know you're here to hear more about undergraduate awards here at the University of Calgary. So if you're looking for a webinar on veterinary medicine, this is not the one for you. So I'm going to give really high-level overview of what the undergraduate awards portfolio looks like, as well as touch on some tricks and tips to make you more eligible and look better for our selection committees, especially for our large dollar value awards. And again, my name is Joel May, and I'm the Assistant Registrar for Student Financial Support here at the university. So my team looks after everything from awards, bursaries, and scholarships to financial aid to emergency funding for undergraduate and graduate students here on campus. But today we'll focus just on undergraduate awards. So here's kind of a rough view of what the agenda will look like today. So I'll give an overview of high school awards, statistics, types of awards, competitive awards, admission scholarships. Then I'll really break down into how you apply for awards, kind of tips, the deadlines, and then information about after you've applied. Then lastly, I'm going to end with other options that you can look into. A big one I'll discuss quite extensively, and if you got on the presentation early, you would have seen a video for, but it's our Schulich Leader Scholarship. Then I'll touch on Alberta Student Aid Scholarships, and then I'll touch a little bit on some external options that you might want to look into. Before I move any further, there is a chat function on the side. If you have questions, please make sure to enter them through the chat. I won't get to them right away. I'll respond to them after each section that I complete, and then we'll go from there. And then at the end of the presentation, there'll be lots of time for questions and answers. So please feel free. Don't be shy. Make sure you enter any questions you possibly have. So here's an overview of the high school award statistics from this last academic year. So the University of Calgary gives over $17 million to undergraduate students. And for this last fall, so starting in September, over 1,700 entering students received awards, and that was over $5 million. So really, for entering students, they get about a third of our awards. And for high school award applications, we usually get about 3,300. So entering class, you're looking at about between 6,000 and 7,000 students. So only about 50% actually apply for awards. You'll hear me say awards a lot of the time. When I talk about awards here at the University of Calgary, we group a lot of different funding models into awards. So a lot of people think anything that you receive monetarily is a scholarship, and that's not always the case. So here we have 4 different types of awards that we group together. One is a scholarship, and the selection is primarily based on academic merit. So those are really for our high achieving students, students with admissions average of 90% or above usually. With a scholarship, there could be additional selection requirements as well, something like community service, volunteering, being active on a sports team. Those are high school being added as well. Then we have bursaries, and we have a lot of bursaries, and bursaries are primarily based on financial need. And so when you look at the financial need, it's really your cost minus expenses equals a need. So if your costs outweigh your resources that you have to be able to
maybe a bit of
to be able to pay for your schooling, then you'll have a financial need. We do have some bursaries as well that require additional requirements.
When you finish the
we have one
program,
that you need to be an active member of the Boys and Girls Club, for example. That's
the difference.
That's something that is also added. We also have awards that are kind of our catch-all.
For example, if I'm going to do an accounting,
all of our scholarships, bursaries, prizes, everything, they all get lumped into one.
Those are all required courses part of the degree, and it's really just bits at the end that are different. So to say, for example, to combine them, there really isn't a need to, because organically in the program, they're all combined.
There's another person on the line. Okay. There's just on the chat. Is it really loud? Is it? I don't know what kind of. I'm using the microphone here, and it doesn't seem to be. Maybe I'll just continue on, and if you can't hear me, then just let me know. So awards selection is based on multiple requirements. Those are for the active students. Those are for active students who are active in their community. Those are the volunteers. Those are people in certain clubs, certain groups, are from certain areas of the country or city, or it could be international as well. Then we also have prizes, and prizes really aren't for entering students. They're for students as they continue through their degree, where the selection is primarily based on a final mark in a course or final in overall grade in a program or your year of study. So we have prestige awards, and I noticed I didn't update this slide from what I should have. And our prestige awards are our higher dollar value awards. These are really for our high achieving students, and they actually range from $39,600 to $100,000. Our prestige awards are not paid in one lump sum. They're spread over 4 years of your education, though. So if you're lucky enough to receive a $100,000 award from us, it'll be $25,000 per year over 4 years. This is a highly competitive award grouping, and you're required to submit a prestige award application. The application is currently open. I'll discuss more about the applications in a minute. You also might be required to submit supplemental information or have an interview. We do have one scholarship, which is the Richard and Lois Haskane Legacy Scholarship, and you would be required. So the top two or top three, after our selection committee reviews it, would have to actually have a formal interview with the dean of the Haskane School of Business. So that's an example of it. And there are deadlines for submission. So the deadline to apply is December 1st, and I'll reiterate that a little bit later. It's December 1st. And so we also have our high school awards, and they range anywhere from $800 to $10,000. This is our largest grouping of awards. So overall for undergraduate awards, we have about 1,500 different awards, and that's for entering and continuing students. About 500 of those awards are for high school or for entering students. We classify them high school because you're entering based on your high school average. With our high school awards, you are required to submit a high school award application, and the deadline to apply for that is March 1st. And I'll reiterate those deadlines a little bit later as well. We do also have two different admission scholarships, and these are based solely on your admissions average. So let me just see. I hear somebody can't hear, so just give me a second. Oh, hopefully it's just that other person who's there. Okay. So most people can hear. That's fine. Okay, I'm going forward. So our President's Admission Scholarship is $5,000 for those with an admissions average of 95% or better. We start notifying students that they've received this scholarship at the end of November. So once after admissions offers go out, for admissions average information, it's better to talk to admissions because your admissions average is based on the program that you applied for. So it really varies what your 95%, what the courses will be used to calculate that 95%. And yeah, I won't go too deep into that. We also have an IB scholarship or an International Baccalaureate scholarship. The scholarships are $2,000. The scholarships are $2,000. You do have to have a minimum IB diploma score of 35 or greater to maintain that scholarship. We do selection based on predicted IB diploma scores in February. So if you are an IB student, please ensure that you get your predicted IB diploma scores to us by February at the latest. And then we do require a formal IB diploma transcript by August 1st in order for you to obtain. These are all automatic scholarships. So I see Chris has a question about that. These are all automatic. You don't have to apply for them at all. That's it for the overview section. So I'm fine to answer some questions here, but some of them I might be able to respond later. So Rodrigo asks, can you receive multiple high school awards? Yes, you can. The university does follow an equitable distribution policy where we want to spread the awards to more students, but as long as you're not receiving exuberant amounts of money, then you definitely can receive more than one. There's a question about what are the requirements for high school awards. It's based on admissions average. So in order to receive a high school award, you have to be admitted into a program, and then it really is dependent from there. Because our awards, when I talk about awards, they're not all scholarships. So they're not all based on academic merit solely. That's something that's a misconception, and there's lots of different criteria that might need to be met. Some of them are, if you live in residence, there's one for that. If you're a non-smoker, we have a scholarship for that. So there's different avenues to actually get a scholarship or an award. So now moving forward, I'm going to really talk about applying for awards and give you the tips and kind of ins and outs of what an application looks like. So we have two different applications that are live right now. So we have our Prestige Award application and our High School Award application. Your first step to apply for either of these award groupings is to apply for admissions. So hopefully everyone here has already applied for admissions, but that's your first step. Then you normally have to wait 24 to 48 hours to access your my.ucalgary.ca account. Super important accounts to be able to access because that's when you'll be able to see your admission decision. This is when you're admitted, you'll use it as a student to create your course schedule, to see what your fees are, all of those types of things. Then once you have your MyUCalgary account, then you can complete the Prestige Award application and the High School Award application. As I said already, they're already available. So they launched on October 1st. And one thing I need to reiterate, and I'm probably say it again in this presentation, is that you don't need to be admitted to apply for awards. You need to be admitted to receive an award, but you don't have to be admitted to apply for an award. So make sure you want to apply, and you want to apply early because we do have specific deadlines. So once you actually have applied for admissions and you have access to your MyUCalgary account, you log into MyUCalgary and then you click My Financials. So this is a quick little screenshot of what it kind of looks like. On the left side, you'll see this example here is a screenshot for a current student, so they have exams and grades. But for an applicant, it would probably be, I think it's the fourth icon down, and it'll say My Financials. You click onto that, and then you'll find in your financial summary, you scroll down a little bit, and there's a red button that says Apply for Undergraduate Awards. Then you click on that, and then the first one you want to focus on currently at this time is our Prestige Award application. The reason why I say spend your time on this is because the deadline is December 1st. This is also where all of our high dollar value scholarships and awards. So for an international student, this is where our International Entrance Scholarship is, which is $60,000. So that's a good example, but everyone else, this is where our Chancellor Scholarship, which is $60,000 is. This is where our Schulich engineering scholarships are. This is super important for you to start with and spend the time doing. Sorry, I'm just going to go back. Spend the time doing this. You have till December 1st to submit. And then from there, that's when you start focusing on the high school awards application. Because the deadline is March 1st, we're not going to actually start reviewing or looking at them till after that deadline anyways. So focus on the Prestige Award application first, because this is where there's a little bit more detail involved in this application. I'll go into it a little bit more in a minute, but this is where there's essay questions. You have to be mindful and thoughtful on your responses and try to answer the questions as well as you can. This is where you have to really talk about your top achievements, those types of things. So I say you need to apply for this early, but I want you to start thinking about things before you even apply. So think about things you do outside the classroom. With our Prestige Awards, all of our recipients are always high achievers. So academics are a big thing about it. You can't even get past, if you don't have an 88 or above, you won't even get to the selection committee. But really focus on other things you're doing outside the classroom. So think about the things that you do volunteering, community service-wise. Think about when you did it, what the position was, the name of the organization for sure, and then any extracurricular activities. So are you an athlete? Are you in bands? Do you do other things? Are you in a service club? Are you on your student council? Those are the types of things that you need to gather as well. So you have a better response in your application. So as I said, with extracurricular activity and leadership activity, a lot of our donors really want to see leaders. So leadership is a major thing, and it'll be a major theme when you actually apply for awards here at the university, either as an entering student or when you're a continuing student. But I really want to touch on what we're looking for, or what the selection committees are looking for when we talk about extracurricular activities and leadership. So we want to see what your volunteering is, of course, any type of community service. We want to see sports team involvement. So if you're a hockey player, if you're a gymnast, if you play ringette, those are the types of things we want to see. Your student club involvement. So are you part of a writing club in your school? Are you part of your student council? Do you have affiliation with a community organization? Those can even be religious organizations. So are you an active member in your church or in your mosque or synagogue or anything like that? That's also things to include. The things that we don't want to see and we won't put forward in your application are anything that has to do with employment. So even if you're a shift leader at McDonald's, per se, or at another organization, please don't include that, because we won't include that when we actually do the shortlisting and send it to a selection committee. Anything that you're paid to participate isn't really extracurricular, because you're being paid to do that. We also don't want to see any awards you received, any research publications, and lastly, I see this every year, and I don't want to see that you're active in yoga or you weightlift all the time. Like, I don't want to see personal wellness activities. I'd rather see more of the involvement in club or student involvement. The other thing too is that for this year, I'm really trying to focus, if you don't have the opportunity to do some of these things because you're looking after your brothers and sisters, or you're supporting your family or something like that. Please indicate that. So when we look at extracurricular or leadership, I really want to see that too, because I know not everyone has the opportunity to be involved volunteering or with their clubs at school, because they have a lot of responsibilities outside at home. And if that's the case for you, please let us know that, because that's super important. So when you go through the application, this is kind of what the page looks like for when you're entering your extracurricular and leadership activity. One key thing is, unfortunately, our application is a little dated and it's a little clunky when you apply and when you start completing it. So sometimes I know in the past students get a little frustrated with that. So it's really important that you take your time, you save, but also make sure you're entering things correctly. So for extracurricular and leadership activity, you must add a record for each school community group activity, any type of activity. If it's a different type, you have to, if it's a completely different activity, you have to add a new activity every single time. If the activity is the same, but your role has just changed, or it's just a different year that you've changed, you can just add it underneath. You can add different entries for each year that you're involved. And just like, let's say if you're on a basketball team or something like that, and in your grade 11 year, you were an assistant captain, and now this year you're the captain. Or if you're on your student council and you were grade 11 representative and now you're vice president external or something like that. This is where the activity is the same, but your role is different, okay? Then the last thing we really want you to do is really indicate what your leadership roles are. So we really want a list of 3 activities that showed significant leadership and initiative over the past 3 years. So you need to describe the impact. So a big thing for us is the impact. So whenever you're entering any essays or any long answered questions, we want to know that there's impact, and it has to be impact on you and your community, so or others around you. So how are you making the world better for other people? It could just be for yourself, but you really have to say what the impact is. So maybe it's something that really impacted your mental health, or your ability to, an example could be you've been dealing with anxiety, and this has really helped you with your public speaking and really helped you become a better leader or a better person, because it forces you to break out of your shell and really stretch your abilities a little bit further. Just focus on that. Impact is super key. The next step in the application is actually an essay. So this is super important. We use it in every single one of our selection committees, and make sure it's concise. It has to be under 500 words. If it's over 500 words, we will just cut it. So it'll be limited to 500 words. This is really important when you actually become a university student. Professors don't want to see you ramble all the time. They want you to answer questions or be able to relay your thoughts in a concise manner. So I'd focus a lot of time on this. I always recommend that when you write your essay or any of your long answer questions, you write it in Microsoft Word or Pages if you're a Mac user. Write it there, then copy and paste in the application. We do tend to see a lot of grammar errors, so please try to do that, because then you can use spell check and it makes it a lot easier. And that's why I say look at the application now, but take your time and make sure you apply before December 1st. So the personal essay question for this year is, describe why you chose to study at UCalgary. We want you to really be mindful of this, because we don't want to hear that I chose you to study at University of Calgary because I live in Calgary, or because my parents live here, or because it's close to home. That's not really a valid response. That's an easy response, but is there something about the University of Calgary that is better than other post-secondaries that are around here. So if you are a Calgary resident and you say it's close to home, but why did you not pick SAIT, or why did you not pick Mount Royal or St. Mary's or Ambrose or Bow Valley College? There's lots of institutions here. So we really want to know what University of Calgary stands out to you in your mind. Then we want to know what 2 personal or intellectual interests you will bring to campus community. So we want to really know how you will stand out, or what you will bring to the campus. So the campus is a community. We want to have it as diverse as possible and really look at growing the campus community as much as possible. So we really want to know what you will bring to that. And lastly, the last part of the essay is how have you demonstrated entrepreneurial thinking that will make an impact on your life and the lives of others? So a lot of students kind of get caught up on this term entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial for this context is not, oh, I started my own business in grade 11. It's more, I use my critical thinking skills to improve things. I look at things through a different lens, and I'm always looking at process improvements or changing things for the better of my fellow classmates, the better of my family, the better of the people around me. So don't get stuck on the term entrepreneurial. Just think of it more in that greater context. So we really want to know what are you doing out there, and how are you looking things in a way to make things better for others? Hopefully that's fairly clear. It's a little bit hard to wrap your head around, but that's really what we're focusing on. The next thing you'll need to enter is your top 3 achievements. I always get the question from students is, what should I put here? What are my top 3? That is completely up to you. So your top 3 achievements could be anything. So really, over the past 3 years, look at what you've done in your life and what are your top 3 achievements for that. It could be, one of my top achievements was being best in class in grade 11 or grade 10, or another one might be, I went on a trip to Peru and I went to Machu Picchu, or could have been, we made it to provincials for a sport, or I won a chess tournament. Like it could be anything. This is very open-ended. So we really want to know what the top 3 achievements that impacted you and others. So think about that as well. Like maybe you volunteer and you spent multiple hours at a soup kitchen and you befriended a homeless person. Like there's lots of different options for you, but those are all solely you. So this is a point where we can actually understand what is important to you, and really just explain why is it important. The next part of the application is really focused on the Schulich School of Engineering prestige. Only answer these specific questions if you are actually going into engineering. If you're not going to engineering, you can just leave them blank and go on further. One thing I want to note is that if you have family members who have ever attended before and applied for prestige awards, we used to require a reference letter. We no longer require that, so no reference is needed. We don't need a reference for it. Please don't send us a reference. All we'll do is just delete it, so no need to do that. The big tips that I can really give when you are filling out your prestige award application, or pretty much all award applications in general, is I can't reiterate enough to save. So if you've entered some information, please save even before you go to the next page or the next question. Save as much as you possibly can. Really focus on reading over the instructions of each section. Unfortunately, as I said before, our technology isn't the best when it comes to our award application. To be honest, it was implemented in 2005. It hasn't been updated since then. So it's a little bit clunky, and if you don't save and if you don't read over the instructions, you might enter things incorrectly. Another big thing is, as I said before, some things have limited word counts. So we're really wanting quality over quantity. Don't write me a 2,500 word essay when it should only be 500. Really be concise. And last thing is, for a lot of students, this is an opportunity to sell yourself. So really think, like, if you're in your high school class, look right and left to you and see your fellow students and what makes you better than them. So this is really a time for you to kind of be egotistical and really say why you should get an award, why you should be the one who gets the prestige award. With that said, even though you're selling yourself, as I said before, we really want to know impact and impact on community. And then we really want to see that you can collaborate. So your time in university, when you start going into courses, there's going to be a ton of group work. And then when you get to your career, you're going to have to work with teams and groups and on these major projects to actually progress in your career and progress in work. And so you have to be able to collaborate. So in your essay questions or in essay responses, to make sure that you incorporate some sort of collaboration while you sell yourself, okay? So after you've submitted your prestige award application, so there's not a lot of questions in it. It's very concise, but the questions and the responses are very rich. So you have to spend your time and energy on that. When you get to the high school award application, with the deadline of March 1st, the responses are very short. So you should be able to fly through it pretty quickly. But again, focus on, I'm like a broken record. I keep saying it all the time, is focused on the prestige award application now. And then after you've submitted that, that's when you can look at the high school award application. So with our high school award application, this is where all of our bursaries are housed. So there is, when you start completing the application, your first thing is just verifying your personal information. Then the second section is your financial needs section. You really only have to complete this section if you truly have financial need. So if you know that you will not need a student loan or you will not need additional funding to go to school, your parents might be paying for it, or if you're an international student, you have funding set aside because there's no student loans for you. You do not need to submit this information if it's not applicable to you. And if you don't want to enter it, or if you do want to enter it, you either have to click yes or no to go any further. So please make sure, if you don't need it, don't complete it, because it takes some time to complete. So the first, if you are entering the information, you will have to indicate your marital status, because this drives the rest of the financial need questions. So are you married, common law, separated, divorced? Are you a parent? Are you single? And are you single living away, like away from home? Are you living in residence, or are you coming from Tabor and you're here, or you're coming from China and you're staying here? Or are you living at home? Because that really drives what your kind of need will be. So when you're entering your financial need information, please enter as much information as you can. Do not leave fields with dollar values blank. If it's a 0, then enter a 0. If it's entered blank, it'll just give you an error. So I'm just giving you a tip so you don't have to deal with that error. When you're entering financial need too, don't enter monthly or yearly. It really should be over an 8-month period. So if you're looking at, okay, I pay $500 rent, for example, right now. So you have to times that by 8 in order to get your total for your academic term. So for undergraduate students, it's normally from September 1st till the end of April that you're a student. So that's what we want to see. We also want you to be realistic. If your resources are estimated based on the assumption that you'll get on an assumption, do not include them. So especially with the nature of what's going on in the world right now, do not estimate that you're going to earn money from a summer job next summer, because those jobs might not be there. Unless you're assured that you'll have those funds in hand, then don't enter them. another part is if your expenses fluctuate each month. So one month your food bill is $150, and the next month it's $250, and then the next month it's $300. We want to see an estimate. So, an average. Just average what you think you'll spend on that, and then enter that. Lastly, there's an area for extenuating circumstances. So these are additional costs that you might occur in your first year of studies here. Make sure that when you're entering them, they need to impact your education. So before we even evaluate any of our bursary applications, we review that to see that it has an impact on their education. If it's something that you pay for that's extracurricular, or like if it's fees for competing in a sport or something like that, that really doesn't impact your education. So please don't include it. And if you do include it, we'll exclude it from the total anyways. So the next section you'll complete in the high school award application is your future career plan. This is really just a bunch of checkboxes or radio buttons that you'll actually just click. Please select all that you're interested in. So an example is if you're going into med school, or if you want to go to med school when you're finished your undergraduate degree, there's multiple different medicine fields that are included there. So make sure you just check off the ones that you're interested in, because those really are tied to different awards. So some donors want somebody who's an undergraduate student who is looking into getting into cardiology, for example. If you are one of those students, make sure you have that checked off. So it's fairly simple. The next is a lot of different checkboxes, and once you check off the box, there could be some additional information, really based on associations, societies, clubs, and organizations that you're involved in. Please select all that you've been involved in, or select all that apply to you. One example is someone in your family part of the Canadian military, for example. You select that, and then there's an additional question where you got to say what their rank is and what their regiment was. Please make sure you provide that information. We have a lot of students or a lot of applicants who are children of staff members here, so you need to include their University of Calgary ID number, for example, and their full name. So this is where you would enter all of that. Residence is the next section. We really want to know, because sometimes the information that we have in our system has been updated, but we really want to know where your permanent address is. So your permanent address for a really good reference for it is where your parents live, or where you are living if you weren't going to university, where you would be living. So make sure it's there, because we have certain awards that are geared for just those individuals who are from like a rural community, for example. And we really need to know where that permanent address is. A lot of students, when they actually get here, or before that, or maybe they'll move to Calgary sooner and they'll change that in the system. But we need to put this in the application, because we don't want to read what's changed in the system. We really want to know where you think your permanent address is, and then we can award information from there. We also really want to know what your previous high school is. I know for Alberta residents, we get your transcripts automatically. The issue is that sometimes it doesn't read very well, because a lot of students might be doing certain courses from different schools, or they're doing through CBE Learn or Alberta Distance Learning or something like that. So we don't know exactly what your primary school is. So please make sure you enter what your previous school is, and you need to include the school that you attended for grade 10, 11, and 12. So make sure you enter this as well. That's really the basis of the high school award application. It's not a huge amount, should be fairly quickly. I think most people tell me they can have it completed in about half an hour to an hour at the absolute most. So it's quite simple. I'm going to now go on to what the deadlines are. So as I said before, the Prestige Award application, complete that first, because December 1st is the application. the deadline for the application, and then focus on the high school award application after that. Then also with our Prestige Awards, supporting documents. So the deadline, you have to make sure that your transcripts are in, or at least unofficial transcripts are in by December 15th, and you can upload those through your My UCalgary account. Alberta residents will just get them automatically, but if you're not an Alberta resident, make sure you get those to us, because if you don't have them submitted by December 15th, then you won't be eligible. Then for our high school awards, it's a March 15th deadline. You want to get your transcripts in earlier anyways, because the sooner you get your transcripts in, the sooner you can get offered admission. So it's really important that you get those to our admissions office. So after you've applied, make sure you check your email. The primary communication for awards here at the university, and actually for most faculties as well when you're a student, is through your email. Email notifications will be sent with award information to recipients. So if you don't receive an award, you won't receive an email from us. Prestige Awards will start, you'll actually, you won't just get an email for Prestige Awards. Unless you're an international student, you'll actually get a call from me. You'll hear this voice on the phone, and if you hear this voice on the phone, that's a good thing. It means that I'm calling to offer you a Prestige Award. High school awards, all the notification goes out by the end of April. So if you don't hear by the end of April, you probably are not getting an award, scholarship, or bursary. There's a chance that you might, because we do reselects, because not everyone who receives an award will actually end up attending here at the university, but we do not do reselects until late August, sometimes even early September. So yeah. If you are lucky enough to receive an award, so if you get our President's Submission Scholarship, which is automatic, that's $5,000. It's split equally over fall and winter terms. So if you receive $5,000, you'll get $2,500 in the fall and $2,500 in the winter. So the first half will be applied to your tuition and fees in August, and then the second half will be applied to your tuition and fees in early December. One thing to note, you probably don't need to know this now or might not remember it, but you have to be registered full-time in order to be eligible for awards. So that's 9 units. So if you think about it in another way, it's like your credits. So or it's 3 courses that you'll have to be in. I'm just going to quickly touch on this, but after your first year, you'll be able, as a student here at the University of Calgary, after your first year, you'll be able to apply for other awards as well. Each year, so after your first year, after your second year, after your third year, you can apply for awards. The caveat, though, or the important thing is you need to have completed at least 24 units to be eligible for a continuing award. So that's 4 courses per term. So 4 courses in the winter, or sorry, 4 courses in the fall and 4 courses in the winter. So that's it for this section. Does anyone have any questions before I move on to our next section? Let's see. Oh, there are questions. Sorry, I need to scroll up. Let's see. Where's the first one? Kathy asks, just to be clear, you need about 90% or higher to obtain Prestige Awards. So if you do not have these grades, do not bother filling them out. Yes, you can fill it out, but we've never gone below 88% for any of our Prestige scholarships. So really don't spend the time dealing with that if you don't need to. Does it matter if does it make a difference if I apply for the Prestige application in October or the end of November? No, it does not matter. As long as you applied before December 1st, that's what's important. Dylan said, between the award applications, there is an identical long answer question. There is one identical long answer question. You can put the same response in both. That's perfectly okay. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just, if you completed it for the Prestige Award application, just copy and paste it into the high school award application. That's okay. About the high school award application, wasn't there an area to fill out extracurricular? There is a short question about extracurricular activities, but it's not as substantial as the Prestige Award application. Christopher asks, so if Alberta residents do not upload high school transcripts? No. If you went to an Alberta high school, we receive your transcripts automatically, so you don't need to do that. Zaynab asks, after our application for high school awards, do we automatically get considered for what we are eligible for? Yes. So what you complete in your application, because all of our awards are grouped together, and we have a system in place where, depending on what your responses are in your application, that shows you're eligible for certain awards. So then my team does a review to determine who is the most suited for that award. What is the maximum number of students who can receive high school awards? That is, Fisan, that is all dependent on how many awards we have. So we try to get more and more award dollars to students as much as we possibly can. So that really is dependent each year. So this last year we gave out the most we've ever given out. And so that's just over 1,700 awards to entering students. So hopefully I can surpass that, but I don't know until pretty much September how many awards we've given out. Jacob, I don't really understand your question for sure. Are there any award scholarships that we are eligible for just through a general application? If you're talking about admissions application, yes, we have our President's Admissions Scholarship, which is $5,000, but you need a 95% or higher admissions average. And then we have the IB, or International Baccalaureate Scholarship, that's $2,000, and you need a predicted IB score of 35 or above. Kathy asks, so if you're only taking 3 courses per term in your first year, you're not eligible for any awards. You won't be eligible for continuing student awards. So you do need to maintain at least 24 units. We have some that are okay with 18 units. So that'd be 3 courses per term. But for the majority of our donors, they want to see progression that is progressing on a normal 4-year timeline. So therefore, you need to have at least 24 units. We do understand spring and summer courses come into play here, but that's why it's 24. So if you're only doing 18 units, your progression usually is more than 4 years. Judy asks, how many references do you need? 0. You do not need it. You do not need references. So we eliminated that for this year. So for our awards that we administer internally, you do not need them at all. Shiza asks about the Leader in Health Science Scholarship. Did it get removed? Unfortunately, we don't have funding for it for this year. So that scholarship is solely based on donor funding, and when we don't get the donor to actually fund it, we can't offer it. So this year there was no funding for it, so we couldn't offer it this year. Unfortunately, it's a little bit sad, but it's just the nature of how things are right now. Chris asks, while going through the application, can you save and leave it and then go back? Yes, of course. You can save, go back, change your answers until you actually submit. So your application will, once you've actually logged into your application, it'll remain it's in progress until you actually submit it. So you can always save and go back. Take your time doing it. Judy asks about reference. Nope, we don't need references. Morel asks about the Duke of Edinburgh Award. That's something you should put in your achievements. So if you think it's a really important piece that you've achieved, that can definitely go in your top 3 achievements. I wouldn't add it to extracurricular or community or leadership. So definitely achievement for sure. There's a question about the UFC Entrance Scholarship valued at $1,000. That is not being approved yet for this year, so I did not include it into our presentation. We make the determination on whether or not that's available in January, February, based on our volume of applicants, but it's not available yet, so that's why I did not touch on that. Judy asks, how much are high school awards? They vary anywhere from $800 to $10,000. Rodrigo, no, you don't have to submit your CSS profile in the financial needs section. For the top 3 achievements section, Zainab, it's 200 words for the entire section. So be concise. So if you have one achievement, just give us a short response on what impact that has. Heather, the President's Admission Scholarships are only automatic entrance scholarship. For our high school awards, we have students that are much lower than 90% who receive an award. So Rodrigo asks, do academic awards count as achievements? That's up to you. Your top 3 achievements are really up to you. So if this had a profound impact on you and your family or something like that, please enter it. But that's really up to you. So I'm not going to tell you what to put in there because it's different for every individual. Benedict asks about leadership. Do you have to be an official leader, or can you be a leader in a small group? Yes, leadership is done at multiple different areas. You could be a group member who's not the leader per se, but you lead in other ways. So leadership doesn't mean that you are the manager, you are the president. You can lead in other areas. So please include that. So Kathy, you're only automatically considered for our entrance scholarships. You have to fill out the high school award application for the rest of the awards. Your first step for any award is to make sure you apply for admissions. So hopefully you have. And then from there, once you get offered, depending on what your admissions average is, if it's 95 or above, then you'll get an entrance scholarship, the President's Admission Scholarship. But please apply for awards as well. Judy, yes, this will be recorded. We'll have it posted as well. Sorry, there's only a couple more questions. Jacob said, sorry, can you repeat what we need to complete the CCS profile or CSS profile? You don't have to include it in your financial need because that was what I was touching on. There's no real profile that we include. Just make sure you answer all the questions that are in the application. Zayn Mass, is there an award for students with a 90 to 95 admissions average? with a similar structure to President's Submission Scholarship? Currently, no. We do review that all the time, so there's a possibility that there could be. But I'm just going to quickly move on to my last section of the presentation. So, and then I'll answer the rest of the questions after that. So our prestige awards and our high school awards are the ones that we mainly administer here at the University of Calgary, but there's other awards that you really should be aware of. And I'm primarily going to focus on Alberta residents and Canadian citizens for this next section. So if you're an international student, I'll touch on a little bit. So there are awards outside of the university that you could be eligible for as an international student, but the first couple sections will be for Canadian and permanent residents and protected persons, but I really want people to be aware of them. The first one is our Schulich Leader Scholarships. So this is the most prestigious scholarship or award in Canada. It's offered at 20 different institutions across the country, and it's for students in STEM programs, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's donated by Seymour Schulich, who's a major philanthropist. Here at the University of Calgary, we have our Schulich School of Engineering, and it's named after him. So there's two different streams of this award. So there's $100,000 for engineering and $80,000 for science, technology, and math programs. One caveat with these programs is they cannot be leading to anything in medicine. For some reason, Seymour Schulich does not want to fund medicine. So I think it's probably because he's got a school of medicine somewhere in Ontario, and he spends a lot of money that way, but that's the only answer I have for. So these scholarships are only available for Canadian permanent residents or protected people in Canada. The way it works is you need to be nominated directly by your high school. Each high school can only nominate one student per school. They have to nominate by January 27th. So if you're looking at getting into engineering, or you're getting into computer science or chemistry, or you were like me and you were a math nerd and really want to do math, then you talk to your high school counselor or someone in your high school to see if they can nominate you. So an amazing thing with this scholarship is they expanded it this last year. So they doubled the amount that was available. So we had 6 new recipients enter in fall 2020. So we had 3 for engineering and 3 for science, technology, and math. It's super impactful. This is an amazing scholarship because including in the scholarship is a lot of mentorship, and you join this network across the country of all Schulich leaders. So if you're looking at getting an engineering, or if you're science, technology, and math, please talk to someone in your high school. That's a Canadian high school. You have to be a Canadian high school make sure that they nominate you, or at least get in the running for who they're going to nominate. It's super important. Next, I want to really talk about Alberta Student Aid Scholarships and Awards. So Alberta Student Aid is provincially, they administer our financial aid program, so our student loan program, but they also administer a lot of different scholarships and awards. Currently, they have 72 different scholarships. Alberta Student Aid Scholarships and Awards are only for Alberta residents. So you have to be an Alberta resident. So if you went to high school in Alberta, you fit this bill. And one that I really want you to focus on is the Alexander Rutherford Scholarship. If you've had an overall average in grade 10, 11, or 12 of 80% or more, you would be eligible for the Alexander Rutherford. It's still a ways away to apply for, so you begin to apply for it August 2021. And to do so, you just go to studentaid.alberta.ca. Then we also have multiple external awards that we have linked on our website. If you haven't already, please visit ucalgary.ca/awards, and then you'll see almost all the awards that I was talking about and kind of a little more detail. There's two areas that I really want people to look into if you're looking at external awards. One of them, and this is a good one for international students too, is Universities Canada. So Universities Canada, they do an administration for a lot of different awards across the country. They're not specific to the University of Calgary, but they're specific to pretty much any university. So it's something that if you're applying for multiple different universities, it's still somewhere to look for when you attend here, or if you attend somewhere else, it's always an option as well. Another one too for specifically for here or even anywhere in Alberta, but this could be international students or domestic students, is there's a foundation here in Calgary called the Calgary Foundation, and they administer a lot of different awards, bursaries, and scholarships. So I recommend looking at those. And lastly, the other organization I really want people to be aware of. So if you're a Canadian Indigenous student, please apply for Inspire Awards. So it's Building Brighter Future Awards that they have, and they're really, really, really good. And there's a lot there. So make sure you apply for those. So that's pretty much it for our presentation today. I see there's a few more questions in the chat, so I'm going to answer those. And please, if you have anything else, please let me know. Before everyone leaves, though, there is a poll I would like to ask. So just so we're aware for our communication, we really want to know how you heard about today's session. So if you could please complete that poll, that's really great information for us, so we can make sure that we know who we need to communicate to, so you actually, for future webinars like this. So a couple questions here. So Zayn asks, do high school awards include entrance? Well, all high school awards are for entrance. So technically, they're not. We just don't include our automatic admission awards. High school awards are for entering students, and we don't. None of the awards that we administer here require separate applications. We group things together. So all of our prestige awards are all of our high dollar valued awards, and they're all in one application. And then our high school awards are lower dollar value, but they're still substantial, and they're all grouped in one application. So it's not like some organizations where you have to pick which awards you're applying for. We will look at all of them. Richard asks, what's the exact situation in which I'd go through an interview? There's only one of our prestige awards that require an interview, and that's our Richard and Lois Haskane Legacy Scholarship, and that is only applicable if you're looking at getting into our School of Business. So if you're not a business student, that wouldn't be, you would never have to go through that interview. Looks like that's all the questions. Are there any other questions out there? Yeah, let me know if there's any other questions. Stephen, did I miss any questions? Stephen, our assistant registrar for recruitment here, is on the line too. So,
yeah, I just wanted to just say quickly as we conclude, first and foremost, sorry for interrupting at the beginning there. I didn't realize my mic was on, but trying to hide.
Chris asked, can you recap all places to visit for awards? So the first place to stop is actually our website. So ucalgary.ca/awards. From there, you can actually click on the different areas. One of them shows external and government awards, and we have direct links to different foundations that give out awards. So start there. But two that I recommend to focus on are Universities Canada and the Calgary Foundation. So you can just Google those, and you'll be able to come up with all their scholarships and awards. They all have different deadlines or different requirements. Some require large essays, but some are really, really high dollar value. There's a TD scholarship that's $100,000 as well. So there's there's some that are out there that are external to us, so make sure you look into those. Zainab, yes, we have our President's Admission Scholarship, which is automatic, but you do need to apply to receive any other awards. You need to apply for the Prestige Awards app through the Prestige Award application and through our high school award application. So the two applications, one deadline is December 1st and the other deadline is March 1st. So make sure you apply. You don't receive award scholarships or phone calls from me if you don't apply. So make sure you do. Cool. If there's no other questions, thank you so much for attending today. I have another similar presentation that will be in November, on the 24th of November. So if you didn't get all your questions answered, you can definitely do that. You can attend that, but there's a couple more questions before I end. Lynn asks, will you consider 3-year marks or just one? It really depends on admissions average. So your admissions average tends to be, for students right now, they'll look at your grade 11 marks for early admission. But really reach out to admissions, because we don't do anything when it comes to averages. We utilize their expertise and we use that information. So if you apply for the Bachelor of Health Science, what prestige award should you apply for? You don't pick the award, Zainab. We do that work for you. We look at what you've applied for, and then we will associate. So for Bachelor of Health Science, you'd be eligible for a Chancellor Scholarship, but we will look into that for you. So you don't actually pick. Rodrigo asks, in looking at the prestige application, he couldn't skip to other sections. Unfortunately, you can't. You have to complete one section and then go forward. It's the technology issue. I apologize for that, but just go section by section and then work through it. But you can complete a section, then save, and then go forward, and then read that, and then start doing your work outside the application, and then go back and enter it. So you can almost go back in. Awesome. Thanks again, everyone. That's it for me. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to my team. It's just UC Awards at UCalgary.ca. Sorry, there's a couple more questions I just want to quickly answer. Faizan asks, what kind of documents are required? Nothing. You don't have to submit any documents for our applications. You have to submit your transcripts to admissions to make sure that you're eligible before. And Zainab, this is my last question. Do specific departments have their own scholarships for entering students? No. As you continue, there are some nominated awards that departments and faculties might have that you apply for, but for entering, they're all through here. So this is your only avenue. Okay. Well, I hope everybody has a great day.